You and Stephanie taking on the Big Show.
The most memorable and favorite match that I ever had. I've made a career off of that moment of me doing a moonsault onto the Big Show. I wanted to be the one-legged Sabu, the one-legged RVD, and the one-legged Rey Mysterio all kind of rolled into one. So I wanted to do cool moves. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to go to AEW. I was able to enjoy the moment and appreciate it because I was able to recreate what I wasn't able to do when I was in WWE all those years ago.
I think just through hard work, really showing people that it's something that I really wanted to do and take seriously and get cool opportunities, it becomes something that they do believe in. With Zach, he was one of my main inspirations, really, because especially I have a sister who's a paraplegic. Seeing him doing what I wanted to do, even with a disability, and seeing my sister going and do that, it's like, well, there's really no excuse if I want to do this.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.
My first guest today is returning to the show after about 5 years. He was one of my first guests ever alongside Raven back then, and he's done so much since. Representing the family, please welcome Tony Chini.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for having me back, man. It's good to see you.
Absolutely, and we met up in person not too long ago. You're the guest that just keeps coming on, so I'm so happy to have you here alongside an absolute veteran, also returning to the show. He was on about 4 years ago. You might know him best from his very memorable run in WWE. More recently, we saw him in AEW. He's a one-legged warrior. Please welcome back Zach Gowen.
Thank you, brother. Glad to be here with both of you gentlemen, and I use that term in the most liberal sense possible. Listen, I was on this bad boy 4 years ago, and to see its growth over the past 4 years, it's truly an honor to be back. Congratulations to with all you've done with it, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun project, and it's cool having both of you on alongside each other for this one because you share this mutual connection. You see it right there behind Tony, the Wrestling Code Virtual Basements video game, which is coming out soon. Is that the last time you guys would have seen each other?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. And what motions did you, because you did motion capture, what motions exactly did you capture while you were there, Zach?
I think we just had Tony bumping for me, which was nice. I don't remember all that much. I just tried to think of all the moves that I could do, which isn't a whole lot to begin with. But I appreciate Tony's creativity. I think Tony knew more about my wrestling style and ability than I did, which was helpful because he was like, "Hey, remember when you wrestled Matt Hardy and you jumped off the rope this way?" And I'm like, "No, I don't, but thank you. Maybe we can try it." I do know that I tried to do a standing moonsault and I landed on my face. I remember that very clearly. But no, the whole process was fun. I've never been in a video game before. I've never done mocap before. And they made it really, really easy for me, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was cool. We did the I don't know if you remember, we did like the Brock Lesnar entrance. So like we had the two, like basically if you don't have the motion capture suit on, you don't see or feel, you don't see the person like in the recording. So we had two other people and he posted up and jumped up onto the apron. And
It was like a Marvel. It was like a Marvel movie or some shit. Like
yeah,
it was insane.
yeah, it was really cool.
Wait, that's awesome. And it's funny too, like you saying that, Zach, because Tony, I know when we talked about it, you've done a massive amount of motion capture for this. And I'm sure that is a step. Maybe you have to go and dive into some of these, like, matches that people might have nothing, they might not have thought big of these matches, but you're watching them for like these little hidden moves to bring back in this game.
Yeah, it's funny because like I've always grown up playing wrestling video games, and one of my favorite things to do was go onto everybody's move set and fix it because they'd always have like their main moves, but then they'd always have filler moves that they never have done before.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'd go in there and fix it and try to make it super accurate. And I always thought to myself, like, how cool would it be if I could just do that? If I could just come up with people's move sets. And then like when it happened, the developer Ashton would ask me like, hey, we're gonna be working with Zach Gowen. Can you get together a few main moves, main things that you think we should definitely get in there? And I would go and watch matches and come up with kind of like a list. And that's why I was so prepared. because I would try to make sure to do that with everybody. And you came up with a couple things that I've never even seen you do. Like you gave me a T-bone suplex, and you gave me a shining wizard. You did everything with it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, so it was awesome, and I have a few of those clips. So
Yeah, my thought was, well, if you're gonna be in a video game, like do the coolest thing you know how to do. And so that's when I was like, I don't really have all these cool moves, but I know I've done a Shining Wizard before. Let's try to get that in the game. And then you do the Great Muda taunt beforehand. Like that's gonna look sick. So that my whole thing was, will it look cool? Yes. Have I done it a lot? Will people recognize it? Maybe not. But will it look cool? Yes.
yeah, for sure.
I feel like years from now, when this game is out, years after people are playing it, who knows, you might go down as one of those characters, Zach. They're like, did you ever pick Zach Gowen? Like, he had that awesome shining wizard. He was a great character to use. No,
I
but
hope so.
yeah, we'll see. But that's cool that you guys definitely shared that experience. And Zach, since your career in WWE, you've gone on to motivate and inspire many with public speaking, a lot of motivational speeches, which I'd love to get into. Are those mainly with schools that you're doing that with?
Yeah, with schools. I've had the pleasure and the privilege over the past 10 years to work with over 200,000 parents, teachers, and students from all over the country. And a lot of them from disadvantaged backgrounds, uh, a lot of them first generation kids, a lot of them migrant workers. And it's to be able to tap into my history and my core principles and on how I navigate life, and to be able to share that in an impactful way to benefit young people, man, it's really like such a blessing. I would not want to be doing anything else than what I'm doing now. And I love what I do. I love being on the road. I love being in front of people. I love carrying a message. I love connecting with people, and I love helping people. So this career kind of like takes all of that and puts it in a blender. And you pour out a Zach Gowen smoothie, man, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Uh it's to me the most because I think about, like, I'm a 42-year-old amputee, and I'm not college educated. So if you look at like my career paths or job opportunities, they're very minimal. And then if you look at, like, okay, with your skill set and your physical attributes, like, what are the chances of you making a decent living, um, and able to support your wife and 4 kids, and to be a homeowner and all of that? And it's like even smaller than that. It's a percentage of a fraction, So I'm just beyond blessed to be able to do it, and to carry a message, and to live the life that I do now.
That outlook that you have right now, which is so positive, it's awesome. I feel like you are one of the more positive voices in the wrestling, world. But the outlook you have now to use your disability as almost like a tool to inspire others, did you always have that? Like, at what point in your life did that come about?
No, that my ego was too big to have that when I was a younger man, especially in the WWE days and in my 20s and all of that. I definitely had to go through some trials and tribulations and get humbled to the point where I was able to kind of take a step back and ask for help and be part of a community, and to be part of something bigger than I am, that helped me develop the principles by which I live my life now, and those principles that I get to share with a lot of people. So it's just really the journey of being a human being. I mean, we're all on the same path, really.
Yeah.
And but yeah, because back in the day, man, in my early 20s, in WWE, if you would have asked me that, I would have downplayed my disability. I'd be like, no, it doesn't matter, man. I'm a badass wrestler. And it's like, no, I'm not a badass wrestler. like I I'm unique, and I have a disability, and that's what makes me attractive or marketable.
Yeah.
But what I do with that market, or with that connection, or with that platform, ultimately should be for good, not just for me, not just to enrich myself and stroke my ego and all of that, but I think I have a responsibility to use those platforms to help other people. And once I realized that, my whole life just kind of clicked in place, and I've been riding the wave ever since, man.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've heard you both say in interviews that for different reasons, whatever it was, when you both wanted to make the decision to become a wrestler, you heard a lot of no's, you heard a lot of it's not going to happen, a lot of negativity, which I'd love to get both of your thoughts on. But Tony, I'll go to you first. Did that ever get to you hearing all that on your journey?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially when you get it from people that you would think would feel the other way or support you in another way, and maybe at first they're not totally on board with it, but like I think just through hard work and really showing people that it's something that I really wanted to do and take seriously and get cool opportunities, it becomes something that they do believe in. You know what I mean? You have to make a believer in the people around you, just like you have to make a believer in the fans and everything. And with Zach, like specifically, I've told Zach this, but like he was one of my main inspirations, really, because especially I have a sister who's a paraplegic, and she always, goes out and does whatever she wants to do. She was just in the Freakier Friday movie. If you went and saw
Oh, that's
that,
so cool. Wow.
she
Yeah.
does she lives out in L.A. and she's an actress and she does whatever she wants and it's never stopped her. So I started watching wrestling in 2004. So it was right. I missed Zach by just a little bit, and but learning about him, seeing him doing what I wanted to do even with a disability, and seeing my sister going and do that, it's like, well, there's really no excuse. If I want to do this and I want to try this out, I have to do it, and yeah, I mean, you really just have to go for it. You have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, that let me hop on that, Tony. You're firing me up, man, and God bless you and your sister. Thanks for reminding me of that, dude. I love to hear it. Um, and I've heard it quite a bit over the years of like, hey, like I saw you and I thought to myself, well, if Zach can do it, maybe I can do it too. And that was never a thought when I was there. But I'm so grateful that's how it played out, man. But the idea of you have to believe in yourself, and you can't take offense if people don't believe in you, because everything is impossible until they see it. Like they have to see it first, then they'll start to be like, oh, fuck yeah, yeah, I love Tony Chini, man. I'm a big fan of his. I've liked him since day one. It's like, no, you haven't. You weren't there when the decision process of looking for the wrestling school and trying to find enough money and thinking, and the battle in your head of like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I put my time and my energy here, or should I? No, you have to believe in yourself enough to do it, and then once you display it, then people hop on, and then they can be part of the journey. But if I relied on the number of people who thought that I was going to be a success as a professional wrestler, if I use that as a measuring stick of whether or not I should even start, then I wouldn't have even started in the first place. And it's the same thing with being a wrestler or being a motivational speaker or being a podcast host. Like you have to do it first, then the recognition comes afterwards, but if you don't believe in yourself, then there's no point in doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so cool to hear both of you say that, and you have no idea who you're inspiring like along the way when you do take that leap and like take the bet on yourself. And it's cool it's working out for both of you. To refresh the viewers' minds, Tony, because it's been 5 years. You have one of the more unique trainers, I think, and one of the more unique stories of how you found that trainer being 911 ECW original from those days. How did that actually come about? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I owe everything to him and his family. I have to give credit to his son, Big Vin, for also being one of the head trainers there and helping me out and giving me a chance. But what happened was I kind of found Big Al doing karaoke at a local bar around here where I live, and I was looking at him, and at first, like he doesn't look like 911 in the '90s anymore. You know what I mean? He still is a
Yeah.
big dude. He still has that presence, but I'm just looking at him. I just can't put my finger on it. He's singing "Turn the Page" by Bob Seger perfectly, may I add. And I'm looking at him, and all of a sudden I heard somebody say 911. And he comes up to me afterwards and he sees my shirt. I had a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt on. And he's like, hey, I wrestled that guy. And he just, walks off like as if he's not the coolest guy in the room. And then I had to go up and sing karaoke. And I was nervous, of course, because I just had this interaction. So I go up, make friends with him, talk to him for a while. He signed something for me. Like a week later, I showed up to the same thing. And then I thought I might never see him again. But then we started doing karaoke at this other place that's like really close, and he was there every week. So I was there every week. We're talking, and eventually him and his son decided to open a wrestling school. And he pulls me over at the bar and he's like, "Hey, we're starting this wrestling school. I know how much you love wrestling, and I really want you to join." And I was honest with him. At the time I wasn't making a lot of money, and I just didn't have the money to be able to pay for wrestling school. And he said, like, we're gonna figure that out, and whatever you have to do to earn the training, we'll do it. And I did whatever I could. I recorded videos for them and made like pamphlets for the school and made social media posts and like pictures, whatever they needed. I just always was there to try to help. And I owe everything to them because of it.
Yeah, I love Big Vin too, definitely, and he's doing big things right with GCW, I think now.
Yeah.
But what was the style like that you were training under, like an ECW original? And does he still have that school?
Unfortunately, he doesn't have the school anymore. But like really, like a lot of it was more hands on with Big Vin. He was like the
Okay.
head trainer. 911 would kind of come in, assess, just see how everything's going, and kind of be like, all right, Vin, like next week you're showing this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? He was there guiding it, and Vin was kind of there doing it. But I mean, Vin, as you know, is a big guy.
Yeah.
So getting to train with him, and we didn't have a huge class. So you know what I mean? We're me and this other guy, Paul, were like the main students, and we were the only two ones there to take bumps. You know what I mean? So it's not like there's a big line of people, and you kind of just take a break. It's like no, scoop slam, scoop slam. You know what I mean? And this is a
Yeah.
big guy. I always like to tell the story where this one time we were doing hip tosses. And my body at this point in my life had never felt anything this physical and so demanding. And like I took this one hip toss and I barely got up. I just landed on the ground and I just felt like I couldn't stand up and I couldn't get up. And Big Vin picked me up and he put me on the ropes and he chopped me in the chest and he said, "Give me a hip toss, wake up." I got off the ropes and I did the biggest hip toss of the day. And 2 seconds ago, I thought I couldn't move for the rest of my life. And it was just like that second wind. It was the first time I'd ever gotten something like that. And I realized, like, because there was, I mean, you have moments when you're first training where you're like, man, I don't know, is this for me? This is rough. This
Yeah.
is rough. You know what I mean? But when you have that second win moment, and you have that moment where you get up where you thought you couldn't do anymore, and you have the biggest hip toss of the day, it makes you feel like, wow, I really can do this. I just have to reach in and grasp it.
Right. Yeah. And dig deep. That adrenaline. That's such a cool story. Zach, does that bring back any memories of early day training for you?
Oh, for sure. The because you no matter what you do, you're not prepared for the physicality and the pain that a wrestling ring and getting hit for 4 hours straight is going to bring. No, I don't care how good of an athlete you are and what your background is. And so there were times where you would think, man, is this really for me? Do I want to keep doing this? Can I physically keep doing this? But if it wasn't for the support of the people around me, then I would have given up a long time ago. And that's really the biggest lesson. And I think what Tony's tapping into is like, hey man, like all of my victories in life are not a result of me or my talents or my abilities. They're the result of the people around me who believed in me, who poured into me, who picked me up when I wanted to give up, who wouldn't allow me to give up, who wouldn't allow me to fail, wouldn't allow me to stay down. And as you mature, you kind of realize that, and you realize your responsibility for helping the next generation do that, whether it's in a wrestling school or whether it's in a high school, really, or anywhere. But yeah, anything worth pursuing is going to be tough. It's gonna be hard. There's gonna be moments where you want to give up, where you think, man, this is the worst idea I've ever had. Why am I doing this? But there has to be something either coming from inside of you or around you that says, you know what? Let's just go back for one more day, one more try, one more podcast, one more bump, one more, and then you just keep doing it, man.
When you were training, was any of the training kind of like uniquely tailored to the style we saw you do because you had that disability, or were you training the same as everyone in the class?
No, I basically had to come up with everything on my own. And I'm not saying that I trained myself, but there has been no history before me of training someone with
Right.
an above the knee amputation. And so when they ran the ropes, I had to figure out my way to run the ropes. When they climbed the top to the top turnbuckle, I had to figure out how am I going to climb to the top turnbuckle. When we did chain wrestling and like, okay, because it's a dance. You know, you put your left foot here, your right foot there, you pivot on this, you grab this, you do that. And so I had to basically figure out how can I do this in a way that I can do it and it looks semi-realistic in this setting, you know. So it was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of stuff that I did in wrestling school I never did in the ring because it never really made sense for me to do it. Um, but yeah, I had to basically figure it out. That was on me, you know, the because no one knew my body better than I did. Nobody knew how I could move better than I did. So I had to kind of figure everything out on my own.
I love the style you ended up choosing too, like from what we saw in WWE, at least like the leg lariat, the moonsault. Like I can't imagine that was taking the easy route in terms of like building a move set.
Yeah, no, I wanted to be I definitely could have and it may have served my career a little bit better to develop more on how to like storytell and selling and garnering sympathy from the audience
Mm.
and like tapping into the you know like Ricky Morton was really good at that and just tugging at the audience's heartstrings, you know. But I wanted to be the one-legged Sabu, man. That's what I wanted to be. Like I was an ECW mark, man. Like I wanted to be the one-legged Sabu, the one-legged RVD, and the one-legged Rey Mysterio all kind of rolled into one. So I wanted to do cool moves. Like when I started wrestling, I sent my tape into TNA. I never wanted to go to WWE. One because I never thought it was a possibility. Like that was just so outside of the realm of like things that could happen. I never even considered it. But I sent my tape in the TNA because I wanted to wrestle in the X division. You know, I wanted to wrestle Low Key and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and Jerry Lynn, and I wanted to do those matches. When I really should have been figuring out how to connect with an audience and tell a story from an athlete with a disadvantage and how to overcome that. I really just wanted to have fun and do really cool matches.
Yeah. When do you think that came about in your career? Like learning to get the sympathy? Was it after WWE?
No, yeah, for sure. It was after I um developed just I started to understand why I was being booked, you know. That's when it was kind of um and then you get experience because I mean I signed with WWE. I was less than 20 matches into my career. And so it was really a big experiment being played out on worldwide television for the for the world to see. But it wasn't until I got the experience on the independent circuit of working in front of different towns, working in front of different audiences, before I really understood it. It takes about, I think, I was just having this talk with Jimmy Jacobs not too long ago about like how long does it take to become good at professional wrestling? And we thought, well, probably 7 to 10 years on an independent circuit, traveling, working in front of different audiences every week. It takes about that long before it really starts to click in on why things work the way they do and how can I use me, talents, abilities to exploit that and to add value to whatever show that I'm on. It takes a long time.
Tony, you're 7 years in now, I believe. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and like if you feel anything clicking more now than it did in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, something I was told a few years ago was like when you learn how to be yourself in wrestling more, you know what I mean, then you're gonna have a lot more fun, you're gonna have a lot better matches and work a lot better. And I feel like that's really true. To where I kind of felt like there was times where it's like I'm trying to figure out like who do I have to act like right now? You know what I mean, as a baby face or as a heel or whatever the case may be. But it's really just like you figure out like how do you be now just me, like, whatever side, because everybody has a good and a bad side. Now, if which side of that do I have to project and make that connect? You know what I mean? I think that's one of the biggest things that I've started to pick up on more than you know previously. And a lot of it is like when I am a baby face, kind of like he's saying, like with like being able to sell and not having to just get in those cool moves, those cool moments, you know what I mean? And finding the spots where to put those things where they make sense and having to fight for those moments to make people care about those moments.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, well said. And for Zach, I can't imagine the pressure when it comes to your debut and you find out that you are debuting with less than 20 matches under your belt with Rowdy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Sean O'Hare was in there, and I think you said that you even saw Vince McMahon first too. Can you just take us through what is going through your mind at that point in your career?
Yeah, it was insane. It happened really, really fast, just from me getting the news that I was going to be doing this to me getting on the plane the next day to get to SmackDown to be able to tape it. And, obviously I didn't sleep the night before. I was so excited and nervous and all of that. And I really wish, and this is why I loved uh, the 2 weeks that I did in AEW a few months ago,
Mhm.
because I was so from a maturity standpoint. And Tony's right about being comfortable in your skin, and that makes all the difference in the world when you're in front of an audience, you know. But just from a maturity standpoint of being comfortable in my skin, to really appreciate and accept the gift that AEW has brought to the wrestling world, and for me to be able to be a part of that. So for me to be able to be a part of this huge giant production and like look around and be like, this is so cool. Like this is look at, there's catering over here, there's the makeup ladies, there's production. Hey, Tony Khan's running around, he's yelling at someone. Like this is the best ever, and like I can be a part of this today. I wish I had that attitude, 20 some years ago when I was debuting with Hulk Hogan, but I couldn't because I was just so incredibly nervous and afraid of messing up and like over my head in terms of the pressure that was being put on me, that I couldn't enjoy it in the moment. And long story short, what I'm trying to say is I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to go to AEW a few months ago, because I was able to enjoy the moment and appreciate it for what it was. And in fact, my boss called me at CoolSpeak, the nation's leading youth engagement company. He's like, dude, I saw Ricochet was beating your ass and you had a smile on your face. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't help it. Because, like, he was like slamming me. I'm like, this is so cool, man. Look at this audience. And I look over, there's Taz, and I'm like, I was just kind of like marking out for like the moment. And I don't know, man. I was so happy to be able to have that moment because I was able to recreate what I wasn't able to do when I was in WWE all those years ago.
Yeah, and that's so cool too because I with that AEW match with Ricochet, now you're in there as a father and your kids are able to watch it ringside, which must have been awesome.
Yeah, they're front row because my kids don't like, listen, if I was 4 years old, or if I was 9 years old, or if I was 13 or two, that's how old my kids are. And my dad was a motivational speaker, professional wrestler, inspirational kind of figure. I would be like, dude, my dad's the coolest thing ever. Like that is literally like the coolest thing. My kids don't give a shit about me or what I do or anything because I'm their dad. So like whatever your dad does, it's not cool. No matter, that's just the law of life. It's the circle of life, and so they're not impressed by anything that I do. But I think that night, somewhere deep inside of them, they're like, "This is pretty cool that Dad's getting to do this."
I'm sure. Yeah. So they just won't admit it yet, but it's in there. Well, Tony, when I interviewed you 5 years ago, and it goes into that like being comfortable in your skin, you were the delivery boy then, Tony Chini. And I think since then a lot's changed. You've been promoted, the character has evolved. Where is it now? Where are you at now with Tony Chini?
Well, I mean, it really depends on which side of Tony Chini we're talking about. When it comes to the heel side of Tony Chini, I feel like he's more of a businessman who is trying to do business. I have the Mob Squad now instead of the Royal Familia, which is kind of like my group that I lead of associates. I like to call them that get jobs done for me when I need them done. And sometimes Tony's got to take care of business himself, that type of deal. But as a baby face. That's where the family Tony Chini kind of comes in. Everybody's family. I'm really happy to see you. I go up to make sure before the show starts, go up to everybody in the crowd, shake their hands, tell them how much it means to me to have them there because that's like I said, being who I am. That's the true who I am. I'm so appreciative that there's people there to see me do what I get to do, and that's without them. I mean, we're really just kind of playing around. You know what I mean? It's you know what I mean? It's with them being there and investing in it that makes it something. So the babyface Tony Chini is just that real, like just that appreciative thank you, family man. Let's have fun in the ring, but also get it done. You know.
Yeah, no, it's so cool to see like what you've done with the character and evolved it. I remember even planting seeds of that back in that interview. You're saying how you wanted to kind of grow it into more of a boss, so it's cool to see that you're at that point now.
Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate that.
no, definitely. Zach, you were around such great, characters early on. I know you said you didn't really develop it like you wanted to at first. But was there ever any advice that stuck, like right off the bat, Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper and tons more? Like, did anything kind of rub off from a character development standpoint there?
Um, Hulk Hogan helped a lot in teaching me how to sell to a TV audience, um, which is a little bit different than selling to just the house that's in front of you. And like how to position yourself. And if you look back at his matches, he was always so good at finding the camera. Like he just told me, he's like, kid, you got to find the cameras. No matter like whatever you're doing, find the cameras. That's the most important part of being a nationally televised professional wrestler. Find and so you don't want to lose your connection to the live audience because Tony's right. This is what makes the magic magic. It's the connection with the live audience, their reaction, their relationship with you. But always, man, like even if you get slammed, dude, stick that chest up, look over and find that camera and start like working towards it to build that connection with the audience at home. And so that was the first time of like on that scale or that level that I was, that I had the privilege of performing on. But Hogan, I remember specifically pulling me, and then even during promos too. Hogan was so generous with his time with me when he didn't have to be, which I always like. Like I always, I try not to judge anybody, but secretly I judge everybody. You know how that works, you know.
I think we all do probably.
Yeah. But when I like to see people treat people kind when they don't have to, and Hulk Hogan always did that for me. And uh, even when we do promos together, he would try to coach me up or give me advice and all of that. And so literally out of besides like the coaches and the agents and the talent that I work with, Hulk Hogan helped me out so much, especially early on in my WWE run.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that is awesome to hear. Both of you guys have used the specialty weapons in the past. I'd love to ask about Tony, the pizza box, Zach, the leg. Tony, I'll go to you first. Is there a favorite spot that you've been able to incorporate that with in your career?
Man, I mean, I love being able to use the pizza box in my matches and having fun with that and thinking of different creative ways. Something that Eugene told me that I ended up doing was I put a hubcap inside of the pizza box and I gave somebody the pile driver on top of it. And that was fun because when I opened it, it was like a plastic hubcap, so it was all bent up and broken afterwards, and the
Yeah.
crowd get a nice pop for that. And then you can't go wrong with putting a nice hole in the bottom of the box and offering them a slice when you put it through, slap them in the face. That's just the fun stuff. And then even just if you come and let's just say I just have a box and I have nothing to put in it, you offer them the slice, you put it over their head, give them a little drop toe hold, stuff like that. And I love doing stuff like that. It's fun. I did a match with Luigi Primo one time,
Hmm.
and we based like the match around. I had like 4 or 5 pizza boxes, and every pizza box had something different in it. So we would work to the one pizza box spot, kind of pause there. Now we're working to the next pizza box spot, and it was fun. That was a really good one because he also has his dough, so he was doing the
Right.
stuff with the dough and stuff. So that was fun.
I love it. I love the creativity. Do you just have a bunch of pizza boxes like stacked up off camera?
I'm not even gonna lie to you right now. I'm being straight up serious. This camera is on a pizza box right now. Yeah.
Quote of the interview right there. And there's some really inspirational stuff, but that tops it. Zach,
If it's not broke, don't fix it, man.
exactly. No, you shouldn't. Zach, is there a favorite spot you got to use with the leg, whether it was in WWE or outside of it?
Um, Let me think. I really I like the one I did with Ricochet in AEW. Um, because it was my big false finish for the match, smoking him with the leg.
Yeah.
Uh, we got a really nice reaction. We got a really nice reaction off it, which I'm happy about. We tried to do that with Brock Lesnar. Um, I'm on the outside with it's me versus Brock Lesnar. My mom's in the front row. My little brother, my grandmother, all in the front row, and I just jump on him off the mat, right off the beginning of the match. I dive on him to the outside because he's messing with my mom, and then I just start laying into him, just going crazy. And then I pick my leg up, and then I'm supposed to hit him maybe 2 or 3 times with my leg, right? And
Yeah.
like that was going to be the crescendo or the high point or all of like the hope of Zach Gowen getting any offense in on Brock Lesnar. That was going to be the peak of that. But after the first one, and then like I feel the crowd coming up because they're realizing what I'm doing. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be epic once we get to the second and the third one. But Brock cut me off after the first one and just shut it down completely. And I'm like, damn it, Brock, what are you doing? You know, like he didn't do anything wrong, but I saw where it could go after the first one, and I'm thinking this is gonna be awesome. But he's like, "Nah, we're done with this." Bam, and just smoked me with it. But yeah. So that was like that could have been the best, but I'd have to say the best one is the false finish that I did with Ricochet a couple of months ago.
And that is so cool to hear that could have happened. But the figure four leg lock that went viral too in that match.
Yeah, this was viral before there was viral, man. Um, there was one where I wrestled El Drunko. El Drunko was Spider Nate Webb's character in Big Japan Pro Wrestling.
Okay.
But we did it in the States, in West Virginia. And for some reason, Nate Webb was El Drunko that night. He put me in, before the match started, I came out with my leg on, and he put me in a Boston Crab. No, he put me in a single crab, but he was holding my prosthetic leg, right? In a single crab. And so all I did was slip out of my leg, and I got to the ropes, and I stood up, but he was still sitting there with the single leg crab on the leg.
That's
And so the crowd starts laughing. He realizes this. He goes, "What the hell?" Did I drop kick him? And it's like a really, 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 really fun moment. But it only works because he's all drunko. So
Right.
he's drunk and he's like out of his mind, not realizing that he doesn't have me in a real single leg Boston crab.
That's
that's
hilarious.
awesome.
Yeah, seriously. So creative. Not long, I think this is when you maybe hit 20 matches or right under it, but you have one of my favorite matches, especially back then when I was watching. You and Stephanie taking on the Big Show. It's
Yeah, man.
such a cool match. Can you take us back to that and just through that match through your eyes?
100%. That was probably one the most memorable and favorite match that I ever had. Or the most important match that I ever had to. And and I was able to, through Jimmy Jacobs last year, thank the Big Show after 22, 23, 24 years, however long it's been, just thank him for what he did for me and my family that wasn't even around or born at the time for that match. Because I've made a career off of that moment of me doing a moonsault onto the Big Show. And how I share it with my audiences in pretty much every presentation that I do, you know. And it's like, man, it's such a huge moment that it wasn't so much a match as it was a segment. Really, we weren't exchanging wrist locks and hammer locks and all that. Triple H put the whole thing together that day, and I remember, there were so many moving parts, right? There's me, who's barely a wrestler. This was my first official WWE match. The Big Show, he's a legend, obviously. Stephanie McMahon, she's not a wrestler. And then you're going to have run-ins from Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar, and Vince. So we have 3 run-ins. We have all of these moving parts. And I remember Triple H just masterfully laying it out, step by step by step, for us what to do that night. And it came out perfect. Like his ideas, his instincts. And I remember it, 20, 21, 20 years old, sitting there watching Triple H just like put all the pieces of the puzzle together, thinking, that's the smartest man I've ever seen in my life. Like how is this guy such a genius, But he was able, we put it together in like 10 minutes, just from Triple H's brain, just going boom, 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 boom. And then we just went out and executed it. But I loved that match very much.
That's
really cool.
incredible that you put it together on the spot. Tony, have you seen that match?
Oh yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's awesome. I love like just like seeing the hand-on like production of like putting together a match is like one of my favorite things about wrestling, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
just like the
And
artwork
it's
of it.
one of my favorite things that I like to do now for the younger talent.
Oh
And
yeah.
I do that at a lot of shows too, where I'm like, man, I did this lucha show in Detroit a few months ago, and I had to put together a match between a girl who just got out of wrestling school, from Detroit, and a girl from Mexico, who's a lucha libre wrestler who doesn't speak English, and so I was the liaison to kind of and then so when you're able to kind of see the vision communicated in a way they both understand, and then have them go out there and execute it, it's a really, really cool feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've been helping out at GTS Wrestling with some of the newer people that come there, with like helping them with training and stuff. And we have this new girl that's going to be wrestling at our live event next month. And it's a process. We're putting together the match and making sure that everything is going to go smooth. And I love doing that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah,
really gratifying to be able to see people go out and do it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
it's very, very cool.
It's a new way to get creative in a business that we love. Um, and because for me, I'm so limited in terms of what I can and can't do. It's like you mentioned, I think you mentioned playing with action figures. I've played with action figures my entire life, like putting together matches and moves and all this kind of stuff, whether it's a Thundercats action figure or an LJN or a Hasbro. It doesn't matter. Like, if it's an action figure, you're a wrestler. You're going to be doing a power bomb and a hurricane rana. I don't care if you're Barbie. This is what we're doing. And so and so to be able to kind of almost do that in real life, which is, hey, you know what? And I tell people this all the time when I'm wrestling them. They're like, "Hey, Zach, what if we did this, that, and the other?" And I would love to do that. I think that's a great idea. However, I only have one leg and I physically cannot do it. However, and I tell them all the time, I go, listen, if I had 2 legs, we would do it. But now, as a coach or a creative or an agent, whatever you want to say, helping other talent, now I can say, all right, this is what I would do if I had 2 legs. And I can express that to them, and then they can go out and execute it. And you're right, man. It's a really cool feeling to watch.
Absolutely.
I think it's safe to say, Zach, that one of your most memorable feuds, probably the most memorable, is against Brock. And I've heard you say just how important that was, not only for your career, but for his career too. How appreciative was like a young Brock Lesnar for all that stuff?
Dude, Brock, he was great. He was so happy after that match. He beat the dog shit out of me, man. But he did it in a safe way, which I was always grateful for it. He appreciated, he understood, even in his, you know, not, not a lot of experience, but even in his limited experience, he understood that we could create something really special that night. And he was game and he was on board, and he had fun with it. And you could tell just watching it. And I had fun with it, and you could tell by watching it too. And he was always like, he was always really kind to me as well. But that night he was, and afterward, he was always talking about how grateful he was we're able to do that.
And it's crazy you were able to convince your mom to be there ringside for what she was about to witness. I don't know what that conversation looked like.
I told him, listen, my mom's down like four flats on a Cadillac, like whatever like if I pitch something, whether it's a TV show and they want to interview her, or if we want to do a speaking engagement together, she's anything to support her Zachary, and I just think, man, she's my hero when it comes to that. And so I asked her that day, she was at work, she had to call off work. I was like, Mom, can you come to Joe Louis Arena and be part of this wrestling deal? And she's like, all right, I'll be there in an hour. And so she was down for everything. I didn't tell her about the blood though, so that was kind of news to her. When she hopped the rail and she's holding my head and I'm just bleeding out in front of her, she was pissed. She like you don't see it on camera, but she's yelling at me. She goes, Zachary, you didn't tell me about this blood. And I'm like, Mom, you have the camera's on you. Like, kayfabe, Mom, kayfabe. But she's the best, man. She's my hero.
It's cool because then on the flip side, Tony, I've heard you say it took a while to convince your mom to come out to one of your shows, right?
It's funny you say that because, like, as I mentioned, my sister's a paraplegic, so she was very nervous to watch me wrestle at first. She came to my first few shows, but then I noticed, like, I think it was like my third or fourth show, and I noticed in the background of the video that she wasn't watching the match. She was out in the hallway for my match. And I noticed, she didn't want to see it, and I told her it's okay if you don't come. Like, I'm not gonna feel hurt by that. I understand that you don't want to see it, and that's totally fine. She supported me ever since in any other way possible. To help, excuse me, helping me get new boots, or if I need something like gear. You know what I mean? She's been so helpful and supportive and all that. But just recently, literally just these last few months, she's been coming out to shows and starting to actually enjoy it and have a good time. And I'm really, really grateful for that because, I wanted her to be able to come out and see it. And when you get that reaction from the crowd, like where maybe they do start chanting your name or something like that, like one thing I've always thought is like, man, I just wish that like my mom could see this. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like she would really appreciate that. And she does. So I'm glad that she's able to do that now. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah. That's so cool to see it come full circle. It goes back to what you and Zach were saying earlier of like, maybe it doesn't seem believable to her yet, even though you guys could see it clearly. You got to do it, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, when I started doing the motion capture specifically for the wrestling code was one of the real big switches for her where she saw, oh, well, he's not just going out there and having random, wrestling matches with people that are beating him up. Like this is more of like a business thing. He gets to go out and meet people that he's admired growing up and all that and work with them and learn from them. And experience all these. I've gone to a whole bunch of different states because of it and traveled all over the place and learned how to travel, which is really a huge asset in wrestling. And so I think that once she started seeing the more business to it, as opposed to just the two people in the ring hitting each other, I think
Yeah.
she was able to appreciate it a lot more that way.
Yeah, definitely. It opened her eyes more. Zach, the first moment I saw of you actually was the wheelchair spot with Brock Lesnar. And it was just recently spoiled to me in an interview you did that wasn't actually you. I feel like I just found that out like recently. What are your memories of that wheelchair moment?
That was great. It wasn't me. It was a stunt double, and it was weird because this guy looked like a two-legged Zach Gowen, man. Like this guy looked just like me, and they put us in the chairs next to each other so we could have the same haircut and the same clothes and all that. And it was a stunt guy from Hollywood that looked just like me. Um, but I remember right before we did it, and I filmed everything up until the spot where Brock throws me down the stairs. And so Vince is there. He yells, "Cut!" We cut. And then it was cool because we pre-taped it, but Vince was in the ring live, so we made it look. We edited it to make it look like it was a live shot, and they did a good job on it. This is the magic of WWE, man. And think about the advances they've made over the past 20, 25 years to what they can do now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, during COVID, with the worst part, and I'll answer your question, but the worst part of COVID for me was watching wrestling without an audience, because I'm like, you're taking out the best part of what makes wrestling. But they did that Undertaker match at WrestleMania, um, where they shot it like a movie. What
Yeah.
was that?
AJ Styles, the Boneyard match, right? Yeah.
Dude, that was so good, man. Like that was a WWE production, and they captured the magic of wrestling in that format, and they did a really good job with that. But to answer your question, so Vince yells cut, they bring the stunt guy in, they put him in the chair, and now they're gonna throw him down, they're gonna shoot that. Then right before they do that, Vince asks me, he goes, "Hey Zach, he goes, you can take the bump if you want. If you want to take the bump, you're more than welcome to do." And I said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm sorry, my language. He goes, "Are you kidding me, dude?" I go, Vince, I barely know how to bump in the ring, and you want me to fall down 2 flights of stairs with a wheelchair chasing down? I go, "No, thank you, man." And I remember thinking, like, how much more are you gonna pay me to do that? Like, there's no amount of money. I'm gonna die if I do that. But yeah, that was funny. But he was dead serious, asking me if I wanted to take that bump, and I said, "Hell no."
Well, it's interesting because I had never heard them using, and this is a dangerous thing, obviously, but I had never heard of like a stunt person. That's why I was so shocked.
I I had no idea. I haven't heard of them doing it before or since.
Yeah.
A stunt guy, because we are stunt guys with a specialty,
Mhm.
which is professional wrestling. I know the thought going into that week was Brock was going to F5 me off of the SmackDown fist that came out of the entrance and through the stage. We were going to do a stage thing. I don't know if it was going to be an F5 or if he's going to throw me off or whatever. And I was going to do that myself because I was a big mark of like Jeff Hardy and like the Shane McMahon stunts,
Yeah.
where he wrestled Steve Blackman and he fell off the thing. And I'm like, man, like I want to do something cool like that. And and um and so I was down, but when like I'm not sure if it was the week before or whatever, we got word back that we weren't going to do that. We were going to do this wheelchair thing, and they had it figured out. So I just showed up to TV and tried to do my best with what they gave me.
Yeah. No, I mean, and it was. That's such a memorable moment. The fist sounds like out of a video game, to go
It
back.
is. It's out of SmackDown. Tony, you tell me, what game is that out of where you can F5 them off the fist?
SmackDown, shut your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh
SmackDown, shut your mouth. It's
yeah.
exact. I
Yeah.
think I think I might have gotten inspiration from the game.
That's nuts that was the original plan. One other person I want to ask you about, Zach, is you got a match with the Doctor of Thugonomics in your WWE run, and I'm just curious, the rap he gives on you before the match, did you know what he was going to say, or were those usually a surprise?
Yeah, that and John pulled me aside and said, "Here's what I'm gonna say, and if you're not comfortable with any of it, I will change it. No worries." And he rapped it, and I said, "That's great." And we went out, and he did exactly what he said he was gonna do.
That's great. Do you
Yeah,
have any thoughts on his retirement run right now, if you're still watching or keep?
listen, man. I think John Cena is the greatest of all time, and I don't know how much time you have for me to go into it to state my argument
Feel free.
and to
I,
relitigate who the goat is. But if you look at Hulk Hogan and if you look at Stone Cold Steve Austin, right, two of the biggest superstars, Hulk Hogan responsible transitioning from a local traveling attraction to a global phenomenon, cable television, Hulkamania, right? We get that. Vince McMahon. Um, but Hogan's run was from what, 80, 82, 83 to 91. 91 probably. So, and I'm being liberal with those dates too. So you're looking at 8 years,
Mhm.
right? You're looking at 8 years of, and only half that time they had pay-per-views 4 times a year, right? And
Right.
they would tape television once. Now they were on the road constantly doing all of that, right? It was a different thing. But his exposure to the WWE universe, or in that case, WWF universe, was very, very limited to Saturday night main events and to SummerSlam and WrestleMania. Okay. Steve Austin, same thing. But his run right now, he's on pay per view every month now, Steve Austin. But his run is 97 to 2000, 2001, so maybe 3.5, 4 years.
Right.
Okay. He's got Monday Night Raw every week, exposure, pay per view every month. John Cena's run has been from 2005 to 2025. We're talking about 20 years. We're talking about 12 pay-per-views a year. We're talking about Raw. We're talking about SmackDown. We're talking about a level of exposure. And for him to stay fresh, to stay over, to stay interesting for that long of a period of time with that much exposure, I don't think Steve Austin could have done it. I don't think Hulk Hogan could have done it. I think only John Cena could have done it, and he is doing it. And on top of that, I will say that he's saving his best matches for his retirement tour, because his match with what did I just watch? He just had Logan Paul. What was the one before that? Cody
Cody
Rhodes.
Rhodes, yeah.
Oh, the best John Cena match I've ever seen in my life. He's 47 years old. He's not on the road 3-4 days a week taking bumps, staying fresh. Like, his body is coming in at 47 years old, not used to the wear and tear, but still having better matches than he's ever had in his life. And you can't credit Cody Rhodes with all of it. You can't. And you certainly can't credit Logan Paul for pulling out 5 stars with John Cena, you know. And so to me, it's just like, dude, like, between his ability to stay fresh, interesting, and over, and to do it for this period of time, to me, that's why I consider him the greatest of all time.
That is an awesome argument right there laid out too for that. When they announce him as the GOAT, they don't go into all the details. And that is, I mean, it made sense, everything you said. Um, Tony, for someone who grew up in the Ruthless Aggression era, I did too, watching that. I'm sure this run must mean a lot to you also. And plus, you're actually in there wrestling too on the rise.
Yeah, and I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I started watching in 2004. I
Yeah.
started watching January 2004. I remember the first episode of SmackDown I watched. John Cena he was like, they started off the episode with John Cena, and he had a confrontation with Paul Heyman, and Rhino came out, and then the main event was John Cena versus Rhino, and Rhino could use weapons, and if John Cena wins, he gets to wash Paul Heyman's mouth out with soap. So that was my introduction to wrestling. And John Cena from there was like one of the coolest people in the world to me. I was like, this guy's awesome. But then just a few months later, WrestleMania 20 happens. It's the first WrestleMania I ever get to
Yep.
watch. And John Cena wins his first ever championship.
The triple threat.
Well, John Cena was against the Big Show in that one. It was just the singles
Oh,
match for the
just the
United States
one-on-one?
Championship.
That was a US, right?
Yeah,
That
for the
opening
U.S.
match, I think.
Championship.
Yeah.
Yep, and he slammed the Big Show twice in that match. Like, I mean, I thought it was impossible at the time. You know what I mean? The main event was the triple threat for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
For some reason, I have an image of John Cena picking up the Big Show and somebody else
And
on his
Edge.
shoulders.
That
that's
is
with
rough.
Edge. Yeah,
Is
I
that
think that was.
24?
I was about to say 4 or 5, the 25 or 24, one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, John Cena, like, has been there the whole time for me, because that was when he first really started popping off. And then now, all this time later, now, like you said, I'm a wrestler, I'm in the ring, I'm in the business, and I'm, working while John Cena's doing his last run. So it's really cool. It's definitely really, really cool. It's good to see that, like you said, he's having really good matches at this stage in his career and saving those really good matches for his last run. Because you see some wrestlers that they have that quote unquote last run, and you think maybe it shouldn't have happened like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to put it into nice terms. But at the end of the day, I think John Cena's doing it right, and everything that Zach said is perfect. And on top of that, if I could add all of the stuff that he did outside of wrestling
Yep.
to help towards, one of the biggest highlights for me is Make a Wish. The fact that he has that accolade of being the person with the most Make a Wishes granted out of any celebrity or any athlete is, for me, one of the biggest accolades that somebody could have. I think that that's incredible to give back to those people that really care about what you're doing. And just the thought of just being able to just show up somewhere and your presence being there makes somebody's day better is just incredible. And I admire John Cena for that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's incredibly commendable. Yeah, and it's been an amazing career. Before we wind it down, one last question for you, Zach, a specific one here. I had Colin Delaney on the show, and he told such a funny story about being at an autograph signing with Dusty Rhodes. And for the entire signing, Dusty was like, I was with you, an insane clown posse in the woods. Terry Funk was there, etc. He kept trying to, and then at the end, he goes, oh, wait, that was Zach Gowen. Uh, so can you tell us what it was like being in the woods with Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, and Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was incredible. What was incredible doing that, the best part of that was the van ride from the hotel. It was about a half hour from the hotel to the woods where the wrestling ring was set up, man. And I distinctly remember Terry Funk and Dusty Rhodes in the back seat just rehashing old stories and talking shit to each other, and just in a way where it was like I feel so privileged to be able to eavesdrop into this conversation between these two legends. And to me, that was the best part, was just being in their presence while they talked to each other. I also remember being at an autograph signing a number of years ago, and JBL was there signing autographs, and JBL called me Zack Ryder the entire time. Hey, Zack Ryder, it's great to see you, man. But here's the thing: I'm not going to correct JBL. I'm just not going to do it. If JBL says my name is Zack Ryder, then my name is Zack Ryder. It's just that simple, you know. But yeah, wrestling's full of stories like that for sure.
I want to keep this autograph thing going. Now, if I ever interview JBL, I'm going to be like, hey, you were at an autograph signing
Yeah,
with
do
Zach
that.
Allen, Zach
Keep it
Ryder.
going, and then he'll have a story of Stan
Exactly.
Hansen calling him the wrong name, from all those years ago, man.
Oh my God. Well, I want to wind it down, Tony. It's been so awesome having you back on here after 5 years. Hopefully, in another 5 years, we could do it again.
Yeah.
I'm sure by then you'll be in a a company and everything's signed, and your career will be going good. But I'd love to hear, what are some short-term and long-term goals that you've got on your radar?
Well, short-term goals. I just won the Titan Championship Wrestling Middleweight Championship. It's right here over my shoulder, and I just won it this past Saturday, as of this recording. So one of my short-term goals is to defend this at all costs and really try to make this title mean something, and represent Titan Championship Wrestling in the best way possible. It's kind of my home promotion right now. On top of that, long-term goals. I'd really love one day to have a wrestling school, and be able to give back and do things for other people. But I want it to be more than just a school. I want it to be like a place where maybe kids could come for their birthday and we could set it up and have fun, and
Yeah.
maybe kind of have merchandise for sale, and kind of make it like a wrestling store if you want to do that. And make it like a big facility, and that's the long term goal. I'd like to have like kind of like a wrestling super center.
That's awesome. Wow, Tony, and you would do, yeah, birthdays and everything like that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I don't
that'd
think
be
there's
fun.
enough of
You
those.
you could do birthdays there. You could do corporate events there.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah.
Imagine taking your team there. You feed them. You give them a private wrestling show. You allow them to uh, you can imagine Helga, the secretary, coming out through the curtain with the music playing and the lasers and then the bow around her neck.
Yeah.
You could make it like a team building kind of fun corporate experience too. There's so many things you could do with it, man. That's a great idea.
Yeah, no, I really, I think it'd be a lot of fun, and I think it'd be a way, like if we're training students, if we have birthday parties and events like that, to get them in front of a crowd before putting them in front of a real crowd, to have them have that experience first. And if you can get over on a couple of kids, then now we can give you an opportunity in front of a crowd, and I think that would be a good way to help develop their skills in front of people.
100%.
Absolutely.
Especially since most of the time birthday parties, like corporate events and stuff like that, it's not like everybody's a wrestling fan. They're not going to get it. So if you can make them get it, then put them out in the wrestling show, and it would be a lot easier.
Yeah. No, it's such a good way to think ahead. Zach, how about for you? Any short-term or long-term goals? I'm assuming continuing the speaking.
Yeah, I've done enough, man.
No goals, no goals.
Nothing. I really don't have any goals at all right now, except just to continue what I'm doing, man, and thank God every day. That's really what, and love on my wife and love on my kids.
Well, any lasting words of advice for Tony as he continues on his career?
Keep doing it, man. Head down, one foot in front of the other. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to work hard.
Thank you. I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it, man. I appreciate you always being a good role model to me and always being cool with me. And, man, I just appreciate this conversation for sure. I appreciate you setting it up, Jonah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. There aren't a whole lot of wrestling isn't known for its quality of character in individuals. So
For sure.
when you meet someone like Tony, who's like, you're like, oh, he's a good guy, on a personal level, and then you want to root for him, and you hope that he maintains that as well, and develops it and grows it and influences other people to do the same.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you both so much. This was awesome. I loved having you guys on again.
Rewind, recap, relive. Woo! That's what the world is watching.